Did you know that 60% of independent business owners are already using AI in their business? AI has been the most talked about topic this year, and it is not going anywhere. So today on the podcast, we are joined by Scott Wyden-Kivowitz, who is a photographer, podcast host, and community manager at Imagen AI. And we are just going to continue our understanding and further the conversation about how AI can truly impact our business. So let's get into the episode. Hey, Scott, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I'm just so looking forward to just continuing our discussion around AI.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Akua. I mean, it's, first of all, lots changing over there, which is really fun and exciting. And it's nice to see you as you sort of taken over the reins, so to speak, of the show. It's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It has been such a joy. So yeah, I'm excited. So this has been a fun journey so far. So let's just hop on in because AI is still the buzz topic of conversation for the year. I mean, it is everywhere you look. It is just the center of attention right now. And so I'm really curious to know, do you think that there is still a fear among business owners like with AI? Because I've seen a lot of things across the spectrum. So I would love to know your perspective on that.
I definitely think there's a lot of mixed thoughts from business owners. And I think it's kind of obvious from what's going on in Hollywood right now, right? So obviously that's big picture, huge corporations, right? But there's the fear, but there's also the adoption, right? It's happening on both sides. I think that people are recognizing, especially smaller businesses are recognizing that AI can truly help and enhance their businesses in many ways. But I also think at the same time, they don't fully understand the extent of how it can help. And at the same time, to add on top of that, I don't think that they truly know how to utilize the tools properly to make the best of it. So I think it's there is definitely a mixed bag of answers to that question.
I agree, though, but I there's so many things that you just said, too, because we did a survey as well here at HoneyBook trying to get a better understanding of how business owners feel about AI and technology. And 60% of independent business owners are already using AI in their business, which is great, but only 22% are fully knowledgeable about AI and its full capabilities. And so I think it just speaks perfectly to what you just said. I think a lot of us, again, it's the wide range. You have these really big things that are happening, but then also too, like in our everyday lives as business owners, you can really see, like we're naturally already using it, no problem. But I think our understanding of it is still not there. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people. I'm using AI. I think it's because I hear everybody else is using it. So I'm like, well, I don't want to be left behind. So I'm going to hop on this trend. I'm guilty of that. So,
well, I mean, a good example of this, by the way, is for years, I would say, I don't remember when Grammarly started, but let's say 5-6 years, right? Grammarly's been around for quite some time. There's a lot of business owners that are using a Grammarly or a WordTune or any of that type of software in their business on a day in, day out basis that do not realize that's AI. Right? They've been using it for 5 years or however long it's been and have no idea that that's AI in the back end.
1,000%. You just called me out. I ride or die Grammarly. when AI first came out, I was like, I'm not using this. And I had a friend say to me, like, are you using Grammarly? I was like, of course. They were like, that's AI. And for me, that started to change my perspective because to your point of like, we see in the media and stuff of like all of these really big things happening with AI, like robots or, things in healthcare, business owners, right? It can write scripts, it can, write websites, all of these different things, but also too, AI is also extremely subtle, which is what is also changing my misconception. Like at HoneyBook, we have a couple of AI features. We have our AI email composer that makes things a lot quicker to send more personalized emails. And I love that feature. And so I think that also leads to a lot of the misconceptions that we may have because we see these bigger things in other areas, but AI is also very subtle where it can truly impact our business in such a positive way.
Yeah, I think there's two types. And I think you just said that well. There's two types of AI tools out there. There's the AI tools that you have to seek out to use. For example, what Imagen does, right? You have to specifically come to us to use it. And then there's tools like what HoneyBook has done, where you've embedded it so perfectly into your product that it doesn't feel like a chore, right? It doesn't feel like it's an added thing that you have to work towards or figure out. It just naturally fits into the workflow that HoneyBook has created. And there's so many tools out there on both sides of the equation that business owners can decide what works for them, what doesn't work for them.
And I think how do business owners have that discernment? Because there are a lot of products out there with AI. And again, sometimes we can get caught up of like, well, I'm going to use this because it benefits this person, but it may not benefit myself. And so how do we navigate with everything that's out there, all the information with AI? How do we really navigate to figure out what tools will really benefit our business?
Mm, that's a great question. I think it's a matter of seeing areas where you might need help, right? So, for example, AI writing tool that's built into HoneyBook, right? Creating the emails that that you're already putting into the workflow. If you know that you are horrible at writing emails, then you know you've got a gap to fill, whether it's a human to actually do the writing for you, or it's a mixture of you editing and improving what AI has created, right? So you need to figure out where your gap is, of where you're not performing the best, or the gap of where you might want to outsource to, right? So that's where like Imagen might fit in. So if you're a photographer, for example, we know there's a lot of HoneyBook customers that are also photographers, right? So if in that situation, if you know that I know that my most time-consuming part is the editing and culling process of my photos, find the company to help with, outsource. Again, whether it's human or AI, either way that can help, right? So find your gaps and then do your research to see what software, what tools are out there to fill in those gaps. And is it something that I could just pay extra to the service I'm already using and have it beautifully integrated and embedded, or do I need to find something external? You can find your answer that way.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a really good
Mm,
reminder to look at the gaps of areas that may not be your strongest, like your strong suit, and
yeah.
find different ways to really fulfill those areas. I think that's so beneficial and really will help
Mhm,
business owners decipher of what's going to work well for their business and what isn't. I really like
yeah.
that as well. And so another question that I have is like, what do you think the future trajectory of AI is in the creative industry? Because Imagen AI, what you guys do is already phenomenal. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not a photographer, but when I saw what you guys did of being able to edit, easily just edit people's photos, no problem, and save photographers so like a large amount of time. What do you think then as AI continues to advance? Like, what does that look like in the creative industry?
Oh, man. I think, we're already seeing a big shift with what Photoshop has done as well, right? So
Mhm.
Photoshop, Adobe has been getting into a lot of AI, but it's not personalized AI like what Imagen does, okay? It's more, the generative fill. Look at a photo, figure out what is missing it and fill it in the gap, or expand the photo and do it, or add in a boat when there's no boat. It's more generative AI versus personalized AI. So I think we're going to see a lot more of both ends. Um, like Imagen's already moving towards even more personalized features. We're already adding in other additional features, like we announced. I know I'm going to be dating myself, but we announced this yesterday at our virtual event about what we're calling smooth skin. So we're adding features that a lot of photographers want. But when it comes to creative overall, we're seeing Canva doing some cool stuff using AI, where similar things to what Photoshop is doing, but in Canva's editor. So I think we're going to see more of that. I think we will see areas where AI will start to be able to communicate with each other. So, for example, what
Mm.
Google's already doing with Bard. Are you familiar with Google Bard at this
I am
point?
not. No.
Okay, so you know what ChatGPT is.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so Google has created a competitor to ChatGPT. It's called Google Bard, Bard, and they announced it, and it already had things that ChatGPT could not do that ChatGPT is now catching up. They both have their pros and cons. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. But what Google has been able to do in a very short period of time is they took advantage of their ecosystem they already have. And as of I think this week that we're recording this, there's now the capability of cross communication and features between Bard and Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slides and so on. So it's all being able to, I can go to Google Bard and say, create me this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now make it a Google slide. And my slide deck is done in seconds. So that's where we're going with things, where you'll be able to quickly and efficiently build a mind map and then turn that into a bunch of documents or whatever, or take the spreadsheet and, I know over there at HoneyBook, you guys are big data nerds. So being able to say, analyze this Google Sheet and tell me all the data points in whatever it might be, right? So, and give me the charts inside of another tab inside of the Google Sheet, right? So like all these things you're going to be able to do with AI in soon, really, really soon, all this is going to be possible.
My mind is blown already with Google. I didn't even know that about Google, but right, it's again just
Yeah.
to the point of how everything is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And low key, I'm gonna be typing in Google and Google Bard because if
Yeah.
I mean, if it can do all of that, I mean, like, make me slides, Google Docs, like analyze all this data and save me all that time. By ChatGPT, and so that will be
So
neat.
that's what
See ya.
they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I would say that, so Google Bard has internet access, right? You can type in a URL and say analyze this URL and then do whatever with it. ChatGPT needs third-party plugins in order to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's strengths and weaknesses. You got to know when to use which, and it's just a matter of playing around.
Absolutely. But I like that, though, playing around. I think I want to just highlight that for a second, because when we see all of these things, we see all these changes, fear takes us, but it's like, let's come from a place of curiosity. Let's come from a place here. Nothing is permanent. So if you are a business owner that is really still overwhelmed by AI and you are possibly using certain aspects of AI, but you're like, okay, I want to take this further, but you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling fearful, this is a great time to really just explore and enjoy the process of like figuring out what truly works for you and what doesn't. It like come from a place of play. And so I really, really like that piece as well. But like you said, I just learned about this with Google Bard, and I'm sure if you're listening, you probably just did too. So then it's like, okay, here's another new thing that I don't know anything about. And I gotta, it's like keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
How can we adapt, I guess, too, in a healthy way? Because I know there's been conversations like I've seen too, where like AI is just developing way too quickly than we can keep up with. And so it's like, how do we as business owners kind of adapt and evolve in a healthy way? If that makes if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you need to set aside a time to not look at it from a business. This may not be the answer that people want to hear, but I think you need to set aside a time, 30 minutes, let's say a week, just to look at it from a non-business standpoint and just communicate with these chat tools and see what it's capable of. I think that will, throwing at it and saying, "Hey, write me my child's name is John. He's 9 years old and he loves dinosaurs. Write me a book for him." Like, see what it can do, and then respond. See what its output is, and then respond to it and say, "Well, he doesn't like Tyrannosaurus Rex." I mean, I don't know what kid does, what boy doesn't, but he would prefer a pterodactyl. Write the book about a pterodactyl instead. See how it responds. I don't like how serious it is. Can you make it more playful? It'll rewrite it again. Like, just play. Do it where it's not your business, where it's just for fun. And I feel like when you take the business out of it, you'll be able to put your mind in a mindset where your creativity will rise more, right? And at this point, you're really going to understand it even better than if you were focused on 100%, how can I use this for my business? Once you're understanding creative-wise what it can do, you can then think creative-wise to use it in your business.
Yeah, I love that. That definitely makes the process much more enjoyable. I'm like, oh yeah, like that is a good idea. Like write me something that I'm really passionate about. It does not have to be business related, but it's a way, number one, just to fully understand the capabilities of the platform. Because again, like we don't fully know what we're using. And I think knowledge is power. And it's so important for us to really be able to just understand the products that we're using, understand the products that we're using, and helping that grow our business. And so I kind of want to bring it back to a little bit earlier where you said like too, a lot of people are just like we're underutilizing it. Like
Mm,
we're like a lot of us are scratching the surface, not
yeah.
fully understanding. So what are some other tips as well for those who are already using AI but are underutilizing it? Like how can we continue to advance our knowledge on it?
Hmm. Um, I would say, so I am a very much a, um, I like the technical stuff. I like learning about all the technical stuff,
Mhm.
and um, I'm the person that everybody comes to when they have like a question. I'm like that unofficial tech support, and so I try to find the tools that I know will truly impact my life beyond just business. So I am, just to give you a little backstory, I am dyslexic, and I have been writing for a living, right? And I've been
Yeah.
in marketing for a living, and I am also colorblind, but I'm a photographer. So I am always trying to find the tools to work past and work through the struggles that I've been living with my entire life. And so when it comes to AI, I try to find things that I know will have a huge impact. And one thing that people don't realize is that ChatGPT, while you can go to ChatGPT itself, there are additional software that, like what HoneyBook has done, like integrating AI into it, that have companies that have built software on top of ChatGPT or something else that are very specific. So I host and produce and edit a podcast for Imagen called Workflows. It is for photographers, all about every aspect of their photography workflows. And because I am basically the sole content creator on our team for the podcast, I do have some help for social and stuff like that. But when I need to come up with the show notes and stuff like that, that then our copywriter will work through and stuff like that. But I need a starting point. And um, so what I do is I found a tool specifically for helping to create content, text-based content based on podcast episodes. So there's multiple out there. I found the one that I love, and um, doing that has helped to fully enhance that part of the business. Because it's just me using ChatGPT, but I'm using it through a tool designed specifically for this task. So what's cool is I create what they call um, favorite prompts, and I have a list of probably 30 or 40 prompts, and all I have to do is drop in the new episode, and I've got all the outputs of for the entire episode in all these different answers to these prompts. And I have to do it once. And if I add a new prompt, it it does it retroactively. It goes back to all the previous episodes and adds that answer to every previous episode. So I always have potentially new content to work with to come up with new ideas and to play around with. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, it did. I think that
that's where
speaks
my brain
just
went.
no, I just love that. I think it really speaks to a number one, understanding just how powerful, again, that AI truly is and
Yeah.
how it can really impact your business. And it also speaks to the fact that AI means can really impact people so differently. I mean, with you
Hmm.
speaking with like being dyslexic and then also too colorblind, but like how impactful
Yep.
AI has been for you in some
Yeah.
life altering ways so that you
Yeah.
can be able to still serve the people that you love to serve and still build your business. And I
Yep.
think that to me, that's powerful because there's somebody out there, business owners, wherever, where you feel like you have something that's holding you back, and AI can
Yeah.
easily solve that problem for you,
Yeah.
and then some, right? And
Yeah.
give you
Well,
that. Oh, sorry, go on.
no, no, no. It's okay. I don't want to cut you off. What with the colorblind thing, it was really interesting because before Imagine existed, okay, I've been a photographer for nearly 20 years. Actually, this is 2024 will probably be my 20th year of being a professional photographer. Um, and when I was in college, still darkroom time, this is right when the transition to digital was happening. And out of the darkroom, I had to have my professor, and he knew I was colorblind, so he gave me the help that I needed. And he said, "Okay, your blues need to be shifted or whatever." Same thing happened once we started learning Photoshop. Same thing. professor would help with that. Once I was on my own out of college, I had to rely on 3 things to ensure accurate color. I had to rely on what's called a color checker passport. It's like this color chart that my subject would hold. I'd photograph it, and then back in Lightroom or in Photoshop or wherever, I could actually match up the colors, and it gets the skin tones really accurate. The other would be calibrating my monitor. This is something that photographers and videographers are doing daily, weekly, or monthly. I used to do it monthly. And then the third, of course, would be my wife, who was like really good at color. She's got this like crazy ability to see like what color coat you're wearing today, and then 2 months later, she'll remember the exact color and she'll even match it in a paint swatch. It's really insane that she can do that. So I had 3 tools, right? One was my wife, to ensure accurate color for my clients. But then AI came out, and I don't need any of it. Now AI is ensuring accurate color 100% of the time. I don't have to worry about it. That's 3 steps gone down to 1. It's
Down to
beautiful.
1. I know. I always think in my mind, I'm like, what's going to help me sleep better at night?
Yeah.
And currently AI is doing that for me.
Yeah.
But I think that's just so powerful. I think that is
Yeah.
amazing. And I love that example because, again, it just really highlights again, when you do the research, set that time aside to really just play and enjoy the process. AI can really be very life-changing for you and your business in more ways than you can ever imagine. And I think, again, it just speaks of like, we truly still don't know enough. It's just beyond what we know right now about AI.
Yeah. I mean, you just said that AI helps you sleep at night. For some people, and this is where a lot of small business owners could really think about, is it could literally help you sleep better at night by an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring or whatever the device might be. It's using machine learning, right? So it's AI that's built into the devices or the software that is analyzing how many steps you took and how active you were and what time do you need to wake up the next day, and it'll tell you exactly when to go to sleep so you have a good night's sleep. So AI could quite literally help you sleep better at night, which of course, as a business owner, would be nice to do, right? So
Yes.
that's thinking more like outside of the software realm, just hardware in general could make a big impact on your life.
1000%. And I think, again, it just speaks to the fact that we have been using AI for so long and we have just never realized it, how much it's so woven into our everyday life.
Yeah.
And now that it's just more out in the open and there's more capabilities on it, like about what it can do, that so many of us have been caught off guard. But really, if you think about it with AI, how it's just everywhere, we have been conditioned. We were prepped kind of in a sense for all of these amazing new tools out there for us to be able to utilize. We just didn't realize it because change is hard and adapting is hard and evolving is hard, especially when you're so accustomed to doing things a certain way. And unknown can be scary, but I think AI can be extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yes. So definitely. Final question I want to ask, because I love, I wanted to keep this tradition going at the Independent Business Podcast. And so what do you believe the biggest differentiator between the businesses that succeed and the ones that fail?
I think from personal experience, it's experimenting, testing, trying, whatever word you want to use, okay? They all mean the same thing at the end of the day. But I think it's trying something new. I can't tell you how many, over the past 20 years, how many ideas I had for a business that some did well for some period of time, some flopped immediately. But if you don't try, you don't know what's going to work. I mean, a good example of this is my older brother has a business here in New Jersey that is literally called New Jersey Craft Beer. And it is a beer membership where you're not getting beer. It's illegal to just get beer from a membership. But it is, New Jersey's got very strict alcohol laws. But the membership is, if you have this card, which costs $25 a year, you get a discount at breweries, you get a discount at certain restaurants, you get a discount at certain liquor stores on certain items. And it's a really nice thing, and it's been very successful over the past, I don't know how, 10 years or plus he's been in business. I was like, you know what? I love small businesses. I love cameras. I used to work for 6 years at a local camera store that still exists, family owned, one of the oldest in the country. And I was like, I could do this membership around the entire country and just do it as a photography camera membership club. And if you're a member, you get discounts, whatever it might be, for each of those camera stores. I got like 30 different stores that were like, hell yeah, let's do it. And they gave me a discount for it. I built the software in the back end, had it all working, had some customers come on, and then it just stopped. And I was like, is the interest really not there? Are people really going to keep going to big box stores because they could just get it even cheaper than they can with the discount offered through the membership? Because these family-owned camera stores, they have no choice but to charge more in general. Their markups aren't there. And so it didn't work. But the idea was amazing. And I wouldn't have known if I didn't try, right? So I had to try. So I think whether it's starting something new or just trying something in your business, that's the answer. Try, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't. That's it.
I love that. And I think it's such a really important foundational thing as business owners to continuously keep at the forefront, because our businesses evolve, things change consistently. What worked for you one day certainly will not work for you tomorrow. And in order to build a sustainable business, you have to really step out of what makes you comfortable and try new and different things, because you are correct. That is an absolutely brilliant idea. But I love that. I do. But you know what?
Yeah.
It led to your next step in your story, which I love that so much. And it's such a great reminder. And Scott, I have loved this. I think this conversation is just so important. And like I said, AI is not going anywhere. We're going to be consistently talking about this because it is consistently changing. And like, again, love the work that you guys are doing at Imagen AI to really keep the conversation at the forefront. So if people would like to continue to connect with you, where can we find you?
There's two places. One would be my website, which is scottwyden.com. And at Imagen, you just go to imagen-ai.com. Even if you leave out the hyphen, it'll still go to the right place. And you'll be able to find me on my site and Imagen overall there. And you can find our podcast as well, which is, you're listening to a podcast, watching a podcast. So check out ours.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for this conversation. And until next time, everybody. That ends our episode of the Independent Business Podcast. Everything we've discussed today can be found at podcast.honeybook.com. Head to our website to access for show notes, relevant links, and all of the resources that you need to level up. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to make sure you never miss our future content. Drop us a review and leave our guests some love on social. And thank you again for listening.